Hello, hello. This is the My Artifact episode number 3497. Today's date is 21 July 2025. It's morning at 7:32 a.m. Okay, so straight to the point. All right, yeah. Almost like a year ago, yeah, exactly a year ago, I want to learn Android Android Studio, actually Android development, Android app development. But I won't be able to continue. The reason was that I was kind of like somebody doing a content creation simultaneously, and the timing is not properly matched. Okay, yeah. Because year ago I was like a little bit like a like it like I can't handle both the thing at the same time, like content creation and app development. So I pause myself from Android development. I thought that I would gonna continue when I will gonna have time. After a year ago, means today, I have time. I can able to create content creation. I also create content creation in schedule, means like that if I make content, it should supposed to be upload within a 4 or 5 days, because within a 4 or 5 days already bunch of content is on the line. Okay, yeah, so I am not worried about anything at all. So since I have time, so I am deciding to focus on app development. First of all, why are you wanted to make a app? And yeah, why? Okay, so my plan was that I wanted to establish my application, the artifact. Okay, specifically the stuff that you are actually hearing called artifact episode. I am recording this thing in default audio recorder, but I wanted to make a app so that people will gonna record their artifact just like this, and they will gonna kind of like somebody save those artifacts in my platform. It's kind of like a somebody YouTube. Okay, yeah, means like that in YouTube you actually upload your video and people watch video on YouTube. This is what exactly is it. But the initial thing is that I want to build the application first. If I build the application, then this will gonna happen. My plan was that whatever the money that I will gonna earn from content creation, I will gonna spend that money on app development. I will not gonna do the app development. I will gonna hire somebody who can kind of like a somebody make the app for me, because I am not a kind of like somebody person who can do the coding and things like that. Okay, yeah. But since I realized that it's not an option. Okay, yeah. It's not a kind of like a things that when you will gonna earn money from content creation and things, and that who knows what knows, and there are so many things. I am almost 32 and probably I don't know. Yeah. So important thing is that why don't you make it by yourself? Like your content creation is kind of like a somebody uploading every single day, and after uploading every single day you still have time. So let's just build the app. Okay, yeah. Let's just learn, watch tutorial and kind of like learn all those things. So since today I decided that I should supposed to be upload my artifact. Okay, yeah. Upload my means like sorry. Kind of like a something learn app development process. Okay, how do you do that? Okay, um, Right now I don't really have any kind of like a plan to how do I supposed to execute. There is only one plan that I'm seeing right now is watching tutorial and practice on my Android Studio. Okay, yeah, I download the Android Studio by the way. Practice on it, learn the codes, meaning of that, everything, and try to execute. Also, I have to figure it out a smarter way to kind of like execute all those things, and yeah, then I have to start preparing and things like that. I am not really sure that how much time do I need to make my application, but I have to be kind of like a focus on and things like that. Also, like within a year, like throughout this year, I was kind of like a something figure it out that key is there any kind of like a something AI tool so that I would kind of like something make a app and things like that. Like AI, if the AI tool is there, then probably it would be really helpful. But it's not. Okay, yeah, yeah. Like maybe there are a couple of AI tools are here, but it's not the way those are effective and everything. Okay, yeah, I try. I spend almost like a 2,000 rupees on such a AI subscription, but it's actually making me web view application. It does not really kind of like a giving me a Android application. It's really fucked up. Yeah, I have to be work on that. Okay, yeah. Since today, I just have to look for every possible things and something like that. All right, yeah. I'm not really scared, but it's a kind of like a something that I'm just leaving little bit of my comfort zone because why are you think like comfort zone? Like the content creation is kind of like a something comfort zone. Yeah, in somewhat something because when I create the content, it is little bit comfort zone. It is kind of like a like I already knew regarding about everything, content creation and Photoshop, the process and everything. So it became so much smoother to create the content. But since I'm kind of like a simply stepping up in such a field where I was completely unknown and things like that, it's feel little bit of scared and scary and yeah, but it's good. Okay, yeah, having that much scared and things, it's really essential. It's a part of learning process, and definitely at the beginning you might gonna fail multiple times, but you just have to try and you don't really have any options. So yeah, okay, yeah, that's it. That's the what I'm trying to figure it out. All right. Okay, so should we directly jump into the question? All right. Yeah. Okay, question is, do I know my monthly expenses and can I survive for 6 to 12 months without profit? Okay. Okay. What exactly is this question? Well, this question is associate with a business, a startup. Okay, yeah. I wanted to establish a business and startup. I mentioned this thing earlier, and asking this question to myself, kind of like a giving me perspective, kind of like a somebody giving me idea or giving me kind of like a something understanding regarding about how do I supposed to do that stuff, how do I supposed to build the kind of like a something startup and things and something like that. More specifically, these questions are associated with the mistakes in business. What do you mean by mistakes? uh, there are so many businesses are launched, but almost like a 90% of businesses went to fail. The reason is that ki lack of management, lack of multiple reason. Yeah, multiple reason. I don't want that ki my mistake will gonna affect my business and startup. So I'm actually bit really focused on ki what kind of like a mistake will gonna happen and how do I supposed to aware of that thing. At least this is a kind of like a thing is that, yeah. So this is the question is about kind of like a only mistake in business. Okay, yeah. So what is actually this question? Okay, so this question is mostly associate with if you don't really have any kind of like a profit for 6 to 12 month, then how do you supposed to manage this thing? How do you supposed to, yeah, it's important, it's really essential. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you my kind of like a something that key what, okay, I'm gonna tell you from my point of perspective what will gonna happen and things and something like that. Okay, yeah. um First of all is that I wanted to establish the app, the startup. Okay, yeah, the artifact. But one thing for sure is that even if I make my application, I will not gonna earn money. Okay, yeah, it's not because I am decided that I should supposed to be make the app for people will gonna use it. Okay, yeah, but I think that people will not gonna use it, or like basically let me tell you one thing. I am recording this artifact for last 10 year, and when I started recording artifact, it's kind of like a very hesitant for me. It took me almost like a month or 6 months to kind of like a simply talking to myself, because when I talk like the stuff that I'm kind of like a talking to the phone and things like that, it's a very weird, awkward and things like that, definitely, and people will gonna feel the same thing too. And when the people will gonna say feel the same thing too, they will not gonna kind of like a record the artifact, or they are kind of like a simply even hesitate to record the artifact. Even if I'm kind of like a saying this thing that it will gonna add value in yourself and things and something like that, people will not gonna like, yeah. So I am focus on that कि even if I make even if I make my application within a year, or like within a 5 year, I will not gonna earn any single amount of money from my app development. Okay, yeah. So when I am not earning any single amount of money, then how would I supposed to survive this game? How do I supposed to, yeah. Well, I'm literally focused on that key. If like for the 5 year the people will not gonna use my application and things like that, so one thing for sure is that I have to be aware of that. It's not really that I am hoping for the best, and no, I am hoping for worst. Okay, yeah, that key definitely I will not gonna earn any money for the 5 years. So I'm literally aware of that. This is the one thing that you have to accept, that key this will gonna definitely happen. Another thing is that I will gonna cut down all the expenses and everything. Okay, yeah. What is actually expenses and stuff like that? Okay, so at the moment I'm actually focused on that. Whatever the money required to build the app, I am gonna earn that money from my content creation. Okay, yeah. So basically, content creation is a kind of like a some fuel to kind of like a make my application, right? But obviously is this thing that I will not gonna earn so much amount of money from the content creation. Okay, so this would not gonna kind of like a simply like this would kind of like a simply work, but it's not really that much effective work. Yeah, that is true, yeah, but it's like that na ki it's something really giving me some sort of amount of money so that I might gonna survive. Okay, what is exactly your planning? What is exactly stuff that you are thinking? Okay, okay, so basically first of all is that na ki if you are asking this question that ki will I able to survive for 6 months or 12 months without any profit or things like that, so how would I supposed to be kind of like survive? First of all, calculate all the expenses that you do in a month. Okay, yeah, regarding about app development, regarding about everything. Okay, yeah, your rent, your brokerage, your electricity bill, the salary, the people's employed salary, and things are something like that. You just have to figure it out entire thing, that how much money that you are spending in a uh, in a in a month. All right, yeah. Then look at the how much money that you have, emergency fund. Okay, yeah, what's the emergency fund? Every business person has its own emergency fund. He knows that money, without money he might not gonna survive. So probably he already have a lot of emergency fund. And there are so many emergency fund, not only the businessman but as well as there is a system who is kind of like a somebody that is a kind of like a somebody insurance. Okay, yeah, because every month you are kind of like a paying some sort of premium amount of money to some sort of company, and when the things happen wrong they will gonna provide you, they will gonna insure you and things something like that. But whatever, okay, yeah, you are kind of like a simply emergency fund. Okay, yeah, so you have to do the little bit calculation. Okay, means like that ki whatever the expenses that you have, okay, yeah, make it into 6 or into 12. Okay, yeah, means like that, let's just imagine that ki my monthly expenses would be like imagine as a 12,000 rupees. Okay, yeah, so 12,000 into, let's just say 6 months. If I wanted to survive, let's just say 6 months. So 12,000 into 6, how much money? Wait, let me do a calculation. Okay, yeah, wait, where is it calculator? Okay, yeah, so 12,000, okay, yeah, into 6, that means 72,000. Okay, yeah, so that means in my emergency fund I would have 72,000 rupees in emergency fund. Only and only then I would kind of like simply execute that key. I would kind of like simply survive for 6 months without profit, because whatever the money that I have, I will gonna use that money from my emergency fund. But also one thing is that key, whatever the expenses that you have, make sure that key those are expenses are really essential expenses. Do not kind of like something spend money on such a thing which is like a really not so essential. What do you mean by that? It means that ki like a basically is this thing that ki the people that you are hiring, okay, yeah, you have to give the salary, right? Yeah, you have to give the salary to your people and things like that. Okay, yeah, and when you realize that ki you might not gonna earn any kind of like a profit for 6 months or 12 months, so kind of like a fire such a people who is kind of like somebody non-productive or little less productive, because in the end you might not gonna kind of like somebody give them salary. Okay, yeah, and you have to tell them like a frontly, like you just have to tell them that ki we don't really have any money to kind of like somebody provide you salary and things like that. You shouldn't supposed to be fire him. Okay, yeah, you should supposed to be give those person a gap. Okay, what's a gap? A gap means like that a kind of like a assembly contract which kind of like a assembly allow employee to kind of like a something, it's like that person is your employee. Okay, that person is your employee, but you will not gonna give the salary and you will not actually firing him anything at all. Okay, yeah, it's a kind of like a simply a personal thing probably. Okay, yeah, means like that ki I'm giving you gap for almost like a 6 months because of the kind of like a only we are not earning any kind of like a profit. Okay, yeah, after a 6 months when we'll have kind of like earning some sort of amount of money, you will gonna hire without asking any question and things like that. Okay, yeah, but within a 6 months or within a 12 months or whatever the month, you will not gonna you will not gonna get any kind of like a salary, and you will also not gonna have kind of like come to the office and things like that. Okay, yeah, if you are convinced then okay, or if you want kind of like a simply want another job, then you can do that thing too. Okay, it's up to you, it's up to your choice. If you want another job, then probably type the resignation and we will kind of like assign it for you, and yeah, that's it. So this is kind of like a assembly gap. So what I'm trying to tell you is this thing: when you realize that you have to be survive for 6 to 12 months without any profit, then kind of like a fire such a not fire, kind of like a give the gap to the such a people who is kind of like a little less non-productive or like a non-essential, like a fire those people only, kind of like a simply um, allow such a people who is kind of like a simply work for you and they have kind of like a simply they are kind of like only asset for your company or things like that. Okay, yeah, only allow those people. One thing. Another thing is that there are so many monthly expenses, rent, electricity bill, stuff like that. Try to make it little less. Okay, yeah. There are so many ways to make the little less. Okay, yeah. If you are not kind of like something managing the rent, office rent, then probably you would kind of like something that ask those employee to work on at your home. Okay, yeah, so that you might gonna save money from the rent. Okay, yeah, rent is a kind of like a something really fucked up thing that most of the businesses actually fail. So make sure that whoever the person is actually working on your company, um, switch to your home. Like a people is actually come to your home and they are kind of like simply work for you. Okay, yeah, so that you might gonna save money from the rent, which is somewhat something really helpful. Okay, yeah. Electricity bill, yeah, you also like basically if those people is actually working from your home, then probably electricity bill is also really not that big. Okay, yeah, like like a 5-10 people is had enough. If you have so many people, so many amount of people, then probably home is not the kind of like a somebody valuable option. But still, if you are kind of like a something that low on money or things like that, so probably this would be kind of like a, what I'm trying to tell you is this thing: try to spend as little as much as you can. One thing. Another thing is that do not just rely on emergency fund. Okay, yeah. Try to figure it out the earning money from your kind of like a something the investor or things or whatever it is. Just try to talk to them, tell them that I will not gonna earn money till the 6 months and things or something like that. We need a kind of like a something that money to survive and stuff like that. And would you kind of like a somebody invest money on us? We will actually giving you 10% ownership or 20% ownership or things like that. Like basically this is kind of like some stuff that you do, because in the end you need a money. Okay, yeah, and you also need a kind of like a something a money to survive. Okay, yeah, investor is a kind of like a somebody willing to spend money on your business and stuff like that. But they will not gonna kind of like a somebody spend money on such a business where the business is not actually giving the profit. Okay, yeah, but still there are so many investors, they are kind of like somebody looking at the long vision. If your app or if your business is something really good, they are actually work in the future or things like that, then probably they are willing to spend money on business, but they want more more percentage of ownership. Like they have 5%, then they want 10% of ownership or 20% of ownership. Okay, yeah, so give them that, because at that time now your business is on survival mode. Okay, yeah, if that particular person is not actually giving the money, then probably there is no business to survive. Okay, yeah, so it's really essential to give them 10 to 20% of ownership and get some sort of amount of money. And yeah, but within a 6 month, make sure that the product that you are making or kind of like a stuff that you are making is something good, something great. Try to figure it out, why are you not getting profit. Try to figure it out what kind of like a customer expectation and why we are actually failing those expectation and things like that. Try to do all those mathematical things like that and work on yourself. Okay, yeah, so this is the way that you could kind of like a something like the spend and things like that. What you will gonna do, basically if the situation is actually happened, then what you will gonna do? One thing for sure is that this will definitely gonna happen. like a like 5 year I will not gonna earn any single amount of money from my app development, or after I build the app, nothing really at all. So probably is this thing na ki, one thing for sure, I will gonna hire such a people who is really really essential for running a business or things like that. Maybe 2 3 4 or at least 5 people. Okay, yeah, try to figure it out their salary. Okay, yeah, that how do I supposed to give them salary. Okay, yeah, uh, I'm actually literally focused on content creation because content creation is the only one thing that I will gonna earn some sort of amount of money. I will gonna spend that much amount of money on my business and things like that. So I would rely on that. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna kind of like establish. I'm gonna do this thing at my from my home, from my kind of like essentially the my rented apartment. Okay, yeah. All the people will gonna be there and they will gonna kind of like a make a app and things like that. Okay, yeah. But one of the important thing is that key people. Okay, yeah. Because when you have a hard time, then probably people leaves you. Okay, yeah. Because like yeah, that's true, by the way. It's a universal law that when you are kind of like a struggling or things like that, very less people will understand you, and so many people will gonna kind of like a simply left you. And that is truth. There is no kind of like a simply the something the hard choice and things like that is truth. Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing na ki whoever the person is with you is kind of like a something like that ki tell them truthful regarding about your decision, your business, your everything. You have to tell them your financial condition. Do not tell them kind of like a things that ki we have a lot of money and no, nothing like at all. You tell them your employee straightforward that we are on survival mode. Okay, yeah, we are kind of like a somebody try to saving money to kind of like a spend ourselves for little bit longer. Okay, yeah. And it's a kind of like a something that key make it kind of like a common. Do not kind of like a something consider as a kind of like a egoistic that key we don't really have money or things or something like that. Also make sure that key the bond between you and your employee should supposed to be stronger, because when you have a hard time there is only people who will gonna kind of like a save you, and those people is your employee. So bond between you and your employee is really really essential, dude. Really really essential, because like basically there is a sometimes na they will not gonna kind of like a somebody work for you, uh, like they will gonna kind of like somebody work for you even if you don't really have to give the any kind of like a salary or things like that. Just kind of like a somebody the strong bond that you have. So make sure that the bond between you and your employee should supposed to be stronger, should supposed to be kind of like a something good, should supposed to be kind of like a they let them kind of like a feel little bit valuable and assetful for their company, for their things and something like that. Okay, yeah. Because it's kind of like something very easy to people let go, but it's a very hard to people kind of like stay in with you. So talk to people, talk to tell them things and something like that. People will definitely gonna help you. People knows that yeah, the hard time is always gonna come, but in that hard time people will gonna stick with you. Just yeah, that those are really essential things. So yeah, so this is kind of like only stuff that I would gonna do to kind of like a something that ki when I have kind of like a something the have survival mode for 6 months or 12 months or more than that. All right, so this is it, this end, and thank you.